In the bustling heart of ancient Rome, behind the grandeur of marble arches and bustling forums, an unexpected industry thrived. Forgotten corners of alleyways held secrets in clay pots, filled with the substance most would deem waste. Yet it fueled the empire's commerce. Urine, unassuming, pungently potent, and surprisingly valuable, was a cornerstone of Roman ingenuity. It bleached togas, cleaned wool, and lined the pockets of clever entrepreneurs. Under the eye of Emperor Vespasian, this peculiar economy was taxed, officially recognising the empire's lucrative reliance on what others discarded. Rome's genius lay in finding wealth where others saw none. Pecunia non olet, indeed money didn't stink. Let's unearth this curious tale, where power and pee were intertwined in a narrative stranger than fiction. Embark with me on a journey through the bustling heart of ancient Rome, where the vibrant cityscape hid an unusual trade, flourishing in the shadowy alleys and busy street corners. Against the backdrop of echoing footsteps and rustling togas, a peculiar economic engine thrived, driven by a commodity as surprising as it was vital: human urine. In a world where modern sensibilities might shrink back from such a concept, the ancient Romans saw opportunity and value. This transformation of waste into wealth speaks volumes about Roman ingenuity, a pragmatic society that left nothing to waste, weaving rich stories and startling insights into the fabric of everyday life. Behind the boisterous taverns and crowded insulae, unassuming clay pots awaited their nightly collections, not filled with refuse, but something far more lucrative. These pots, acting as silent custodians, were the starting point of a complex economic chain that supported city activities. As if woven into the city's very design, they served as subtle testimonies to Roman resourcefulness and collective participation. Romans from all walks of life, whether apartment dwellers or weary tavern patrons, contributed to this intricate system. Each deposit was unwittingly sustaining an industry that linked every Roman to its supply chain, demonstrating a societal knack for turning refuse into riches. Under the cloak of night, as shadows stretched long across the cobblestones, the urinari commenced their rounds. These collectors, equal parts tradesman and urban spectre, glided through Rome's winding streets with their sloshing clay jugs. Licensed and recognised by the state, the urinarii acted as critical nodes in a network that spun public waste into an economic web of value. Their nocturnal errands were pivotal, making their rounds throughout the city's labyrinthine paths with practiced fluency. To the peelers, the task was more than merely collecting bodily waste. It was part of a choreography that equated refuse with revenue. As they transported their payloads to eager buyers like fullers, tanners and dyers, the urinari turned night into opportunity, subtly wielding influence in this niche marketplace. This peculiar trade was underscored by a cooperative spirit that exemplified Roman urban life. Tavern owners, residents and collectors were all key cogs in an economy that flourished precisely because of their willingness to engage in this unique transaction. The system was rooted not merely in necessity, but a shared acknowledgement that waste harboured untapped value. The Romans' transformation of bodily waste into an economic engine encapsulated a cultural ethos. Everything possessed potential worth. The roles each participant played, irrespective of their social standing, became a shared pursuit of mutual benefit, a symbiosis driven by pragmatic exploitation of the inevitable byproducts of life. For the Romans, waste was far from a nuisance. It was a resource to be mined and valued. 2,000 years ago, their approach to waste starkly differed from our sanitized perceptions. Urine, rather than an inconvenient byproduct, became a testament to their practicality and strategic innovation. This embrace of utilitarian use over disdain marked a civilization adept at adapting, transforming everyday challenges into pragmatic enterprises. Romans' clever repurposing of waste highlighted their inventive resilience, making their story one of historical peculiarity yet insightful resourcefulness. Through this lens, the trade of urine becomes a strategic facet of life, reflecting a unique model of survival and economic ingenuity. While the trade bore undeniable benefits, it wasn't without its downsides, chief among them the pervasive smell that signalled the industry's functional reality. Yet for those involved, the potential economic lift outweighed any lingering frustration or social stigma. To others, it underscored the opposing forces of Roman civic duty, where refuse lingered as both persistent and profitable. Even if the odour hung heavy in the air, this scent was a small price for the economic gains it shepherded. The urinari, like workers of other low-status jobs, might have been mocked in literature and public opinion, but their mastery of market dynamics granted them upward mobility. Mastery of their trade enabled many to climb social ranks and change personal fortunes, reshaping perceptions of a vocation steeped in skepticism. By turning occupational disrepute into personal prosperity, these tradesmen found opportunity amidst the mire, adding a layer of irony to the societal judgments they faced. Once gathered, urine's transformation continued under the skillful hands of Rome's fullers. These craftsmen, adept at reviving soiled garments to pristine whiteness, relied on the ammonia-rich liquid to achieve their results. Operating within Rome's extensive Phallonica, these intensive workshops were akin to hubs of economic energy. Here, a dedicated workforce harnessed urine's qualities to cleanse and brighten fabrics. The fullers were equivalent to modern-day chemists, blending the stench with skilled craftsmanship. Although elite circles dismissed it as dirty work, their contribution was a linchpin in Rome's thriving textile sector. The urine trade inadvertently illuminated Rome's intricate class distinctions, blurring societal lines in ways that few matters could. While some residents provided, others perceived it as trivial, destined for everything but aristocratic concern. Even when detached from manual labour, wealthier citizens participated economically, respecting the enterprise that silently underpinned their urban existence. This collection trade became a civic duty reimagined, an act neither trivial nor strictly personal, but woven into the empire's fabric. Romans redefined civic duty, weaving collective necessity into a tapestry of mutual benefits and community identity. In this cooperative enterprise, necessity met ingenuity, reflecting a larger Roman narrative of interdependent innovation and unexpected ingenuity. As we reflect on urine's unlikely journey, we glimpse a tale as layered as Rome itself, a cultural mosaic where waste and wisdom intertwine to sustain civilization's corridor. In ancient Rome, urine transcended its modern connotations of wastefulness to become an integral part of daily life, valued for its practical, alchemical uses. Rich in ammonia due to the natural breakdown of urea, this unlikely commodity played a significant role across various industries. Romans, lacking synthetic chemicals and modern detergents, discovered urine's powerful cleaning properties, turning what many considered waste into a prized resource. This everyday transformation from pungency to profit encapsulates the Roman spirit of pragmatism and efficiency, transforming an otherwise humble substance into a cornerstone of economic and domestic utility. Urine's role extended beyond functional use to symbolise Roman ingenuity. Rome thrived on resourcefulness, utilising what was readily available, urine from public and private collections, to energise its economy. The city's distinct odour underwrote its economic vitality, a testament to Rome's ability to harness even the most basic elements for societal advancement. Through urine, Romans enacted a form of chemical alchemy that saw necessity rising from nuisance, a concept that remains unsettling yet fascinating today. One of urine's most significant applications was in the textile industry, particularly in the process of fulling woolen garments. The fullers, experts working in specialised workshops called fullonicae, used urine to loosen lanolin oils and dirt, turning rough wool into fine, supple cloth. This arduous task, carrying a potent aroma, was crucial in creating the immaculate white togas that symbolised Roman citizenship and cultural identity. The pristine toga, born from the pungency of urine, highlights the overriding practicality intertwined with symbolism in Roman life. It's a curious blend where utility meets dignity, illustrating that the elegance of a toga was backed by something as unassuming as human urine. Meanwhile, in the bustling fullers' workshops, another pivotal industry, the tanneries, relied on urine for processing leather. The ammonia softened the hides, removed hair, and prepared them for dyeing, creating materials essential for everything from military armour to civilian luxuries. Leather formed a backbone of Roman society, and its production was an art form steeped in practicality and necessity. The tanning process, replete with odours, provided the raw materials that sustained Roman military might, fortifying soldiers and their gear as they expanded the empire. Launderers also employed urine for cleaning garments, turning public waste into a tool for maintaining Roman aesthetics. These hard-working professionals understood urine's efficacy in breaking down grime, achieving a brightness synonymous with Roman sophistication. Yet, despite their essential role, launderers found themselves relegated to the lower tiers of the social hierarchy. A stark reminder of Rome's strict class distinctions. Even Roman legionnaires valued urine for its utility, restoring the sheen of their armour to reflect sunlight and daunt their enemies. This practice underscored the universality of urine's applications across all walks of Roman life. From fullers and tanners to the military, Romans repurposed this humble matter efficiently and ubiquitously, underscoring a societal coordination that extended beyond mere cleanliness to a deeper appreciation of chemical utility and communal necessity. Within private realms, Romans also employed urine for personal hygiene and health, using it as an antiseptic or even a teeth whitener. Its natural ammonia content made it a forerunner in antiseptic practices, opening a window into the ancient conceptualization of beauty and health, challenging today's norms. The lesser-known urine collectors were unsung heroes of this economy. Navigating the cityscape with vats and carts, they gathered this peculiar treasure for the thriving industries that relied on it. Despite their critical role, they remained marginalised, their work as odour-filled as it was pivotal. Yet, these labourers exemplified the adaptation necessary for survival and economic participation, reflecting the divide between utility and social acceptance in Roman society. Societal contradictions abounded as those profiting from urine often faced the contempt of higher echelons. However, despite stigmas, some within these odorous trades achieved respect and recognition, serving prominent citizens who depended on their services. revealing an intricate dance between status and substance. The marketplace for urine demonstrated its wide-reaching significance, fueled by population density and efficient urban distribution. These robust networks allowed for effective reuse, supporting trade and city infrastructure. The quiet hustle underpinned by bureaucratic organisation maintained a thriving commerce that exemplified Rome's adaptability, reflecting a society that honoured ingenuity, even in its most pungent forms. Ultimately, Rome's embrace of urine's utility left an enduring legacy, illustrating the resilience and creativity inherent in its culture. While it might elicit bemusement or distaste today, this unconventional resource bore testimony to a society that could see beyond appearances to the fundamental value in even the most unassuming substances, a testament to a legacy built not only on grand edifices, but also on the transformational chemistry of everyday life. In the chaotic year of 69 AD, known infamously as the Year of the Four Emperors, life in the Roman Empire was anything but stable. Civil wars and a rapid succession of leaders left the empire frayed at the edges. Emerging from this tumult was Flavius Vespasianus, or simply Vespasian. Unlike those before him, Vespasian brought with him a soldier's frugality and a knack for practicality. While others revelled in the pomp of their lineage, Vespasian's perspective was grounded, shaped by the austere realities of provincial life. Here was a man for whom frugality wasn't just a virtue, it was a strategy. In the dire straits of Rome's war-torn economy, he saw opportunities where others dared not look. One such opportunity was lurking right under Rome's very nose, or perhaps more appropriately, wafting beneath it: urine. To the average Roman, urine was as inconspicuous as the cobblestones beneath their sandals. Yet this humble byproduct of human existence was integral to a range of trades. For fullers, craftsmen cleansing and treating fabric, the ammonia in urine was indispensable, a vital reagent that modern chemistry had yet to replace. Beyond just a personal matter, this fluid seeped into the nooks of Rome's bustling cityscape, captured in pots and public latrines, and ultimately into workshops across the land. Vespasian, always the tactician, recognised this alchemical potential. Unlike other goods of the empire, ivory, olive oil, marble, urine was practically free. It was the excremental gold waiting to be mined. The plan was devilishly simple, yet brilliant. By levying a tax on urine collection, Vespasian turned Roman waste into Roman wealth. He was lauded by some for his ingenuity and scoffed at by others, not least by his own son Titus. In a moment that would echo centuries later, Vespasian held a Roman coin beneath his son's nose and uttered, "Pecunia non olet." Money doesn't stink. It was a wry acknowledgement that the odorous origins of wealth mattered less than the wealth itself. The emperor had skillfully reframed the narrative. Value could be extracted from anything if one could see beyond mere appearances. But his reform wasn't without its detractors. To some of the Roman elite, the notion of monetizing something as base as urine was as comical as it was distasteful. It triggered a sense of discomfort, challenging social norms that relegated waste to the private sphere. Yet for all its controversy, the tax was unyielding evidence of a pressing economic reality. Rome was strapped for cash. Where others perceived a boundary, students of economy saw a lesson. Necessity would guide innovation, and no resource was too humble for taxation. The streets of Rome soon buzzed with change. Fullers groused about this new financial burden. Yet life moved on. In a society driven by demand for crisp white togas and freshly treated leathers, the tax became a mere overhead factor, dissolved into the tapestry of everyday commerce. Urine collectors, or urinari, quickly adapted, capitalising on their importance within the city's microeconomy. These entrepreneurs scoured the alleys and public latrines, collecting liquid treasure and forging networks of trade that navigated Rome's pungent underbelly. This landscape of practical interaction laid bare the class divisions festering beneath Roman society's veneer. To the nobility, uninvolved in the intimacy of such trades, urine was simply beneath consideration. An amusing footnote in the empire's grand narrative. Yet for the artisans and labourers, urine became an emblem of resourcefulness, symbolic of a society that squeezed productivity from every drop. Through all this, the emperor's decree remained firm. It was legislative realism at its peak, a byword for governance that prized factual engagement over exalted ideals. The revenue generated was substantial, earmarked for projects that restored Rome's infrastructure. Roads were mended, aqueducts repaired, public spaces revitalised, all funded from a measure that embodied turning necessity into virtue. In challenging conventions, Vespasian's tax sparked new ways of thinking about resources and economics. It inspired an uncanny dialogue about value, what constituted it, where it could be found, and who decided its worth. By attaching legal weight to a simple act, Vespasian paved the way for future leaders eager to root policy in the practicality of empirical realities. Even as the years turned and the empire evolved, the wisdom captured in pecunia non olet persisted. Roman cities may have crumbled, but the phrase endured, becoming a pillar of economic law. Vespasian's vision reminds us that sometimes the greatest forts are built upon the most unremarkable of stones, and that amid the grime of history's oft-forgotten corners, a gleam of insight often beckons. To this very day, his legacy whispers an enduring truth within the ancient walls of fiscal strategy. Profit, no matter how it lingers, effuses a scent of its own. Step inside the Fullonica, an essential heartbeat within Rome's vast urban tapestry. Here the air is saturated with the potent tang of ammonia, mingling with the earthy scent of wet clay. The walls stand splattered with dyes and remnants of pumice, silent testimonies to the relentless labour within. Workers, predominantly slaves, move in a trance-like state, their feet rhythmically squelching in tubs filled with clothing submerged in murky water. It's an operation as synchronised as it is essential, with each worker assuming specific roles, handling materials, overseeing dye saturation, or engaging in the vigorous task of restoring garments to their pristine glory. The overwhelming odour doesn't overshadow the importance of these spaces. To Rome, they're integral workshops weaving the very symbols of status and power through fabric. In the world of Rome, clothing transcended mere practicality. It was a declaration of identity and stature. The Fullonica was where this societal armour was refined, where dirt and grime from the bustling streets were scrubbed away, leaving behind garments that gleamed with Roman precision. The toga, in particular, was indispensable, synonymous with citizenship and societal entrance. Dirty streets, sweaty forums, and lavish feasting were erased in the Fullonica, with an almost alchemical ability to refresh not just fabric, but social standing. These workshops were more than places of commerce. They were venues of visual rejuvenation, essential for maintaining Roman hierarchy and ceremony. The method of fulling was steeped in techniques passed through generations, with workers who were masters in their own right. They knew the delicate balance required to transform soiled fabric into a resplendent garment, utilising materials such as urine, prized for its ammonia, fuller's earth, and plant-based agents. They relied on a practical knowledge honed through trial and error, long before chemistry had a name. Despite the odour, this crude magic worked, blending labour with the properties of nature to achieve results bordering on the miraculous. In these spaces, fullers found dignity and respect, wielding economic influence even as their profession was often scorned by those considering themselves their social betters. Among the many tasks, none was as distinctive as the stomp dance, a repetitive yet necessary endeavour. Slaves, often together in camaraderie forged by shared toil, trod garments in foot tubs, extracting impurities with methodical precision. It was a gruelling task made tolerable only through collective endurance, turning hard labour into a form of survival and persistence. In their rhythmic pounding, echoes of a contained symphony emerged, an alignment between human and material, sound and substance, industry and identity. Yet every stomp was a reminder of their place within the empire's grand social spectrum, a boundary between bondage and enterprise. The chemical dance within Philoniki displayed a profound interplay of necessity and ingenuity. Urine, unpleasant to modern sensibilities, was valued for its effective cleansing properties. Fullers transformed it, blending it with absorbent clay to form a potent cleaner capable of restoring even the dingiest toga to radiant whiteness. This wasn't academic science, it was necessity-driven innovation. Here, the often mocked substance became a cornerstone in a process that symbolised cleanliness and Rome's unyielding pursuit for order amidst chaos. Economically, fulling underscored Rome's ability to create prosperity from the most unexpected sources. Publicly collected urine was sold under government taxation, demonstrating Rome's knack for assigning value to even the most frowned upon resources. The business thrived by transforming waste into profitability, with fullers expertly navigating the demand for bright garments from all societal ranks. This process illustrated an economic strategy where nothing was without value, and every output was an opportunity. Central to this dynamic was the toga, more quintessential than any other garment in Roman society. It was a badge of citizenship, a marker of status with its pristine, white condition, historically imperative. The Philoniki emerged as a sanctuary for the restoration of these symbols, ensuring every toga returned to its symbolic status. From simple togas to elaborate ones like the toga praetexta, each required specific care, a manifestation of the wearer's identity, painstakingly preserved by skilled hands. The cleaned fabrics were not just items of clothing, they were proclamations of identity carefully woven back into the city's societal fabric. Within the Philoniki, a microcosmic society played out daily routines both echoing and standing apart from greater Roman societal hierarchies. Fullers, many often considered socially inferior, nonetheless wielded considerable influence through their indispensable service. While stratified, their work became platforms for economic opportunity, transforming manual labour into a mechanism for potential upward mobility. This juxtaposition within the Roman socio-economic landscape demonstrated the empire's admiration for utility over prestige, where manual labour, though seen as lesser, could offer gateways to advancement. Fulling wasn't just a chore, it was a ritual steeped in deeper cultural meaning. The act of cleaning connected with themes of purity and rebirth significant in Roman thought. In these workshops, garments followed a ceremonial path to restoration, linking daily labour to broader cultural narratives of cleanliness and renewal. Each immersion and scrub held more than practical value. It underscored a communal ethos woven into Rome's identity. Supply chains linking Thessaloniki to distant sources illustrate Rome's logistical prowess. Key ingredients like fuller's earth and pumice travelled across vast distances to reach workshops, while urine was gathered from the city and apportioned with precision. These intricate networks were a testament to Rome's organisational capability, turning raw materials into the transformative goods society demanded. Through it all, the Thessalonica stood as an unsung cornerstone of the empire. While often overshadowed by Rome's grand narratives, these workshops sustained an indispensable role, an alliance of aesthetic aspirations and ingenuity, crafting pristine imagery that defined Roman civility. By casting aside the silt and stain of everyday existence, fullers in their pungent ateliers became silent architects of an enduring empire, revealing a history where greatness was a tapestry woven from both glamour and the ordinary. In ancient Rome, public latrines were remarkable achievements of urban engineering and social ingenuity. Constructed from stone or marble, these restrooms were often elegant structures adorned with frescoes and false ceilings. Though they served a utilitarian need, they also showcased Roman commitment to public amenities. Ingenious plumbing carried a continuous flow of water from nearby aqueducts, minimising odour and reducing disease risk in this bustling metropolis. Entering a Roman latrine was not a solitary endeavour. Rather, it offered a unique social experience that defied modern notions of privacy. Here, individuals from different walks of life sat side by side on long benches with neatly spaced holes. As they took care of business, they engaged in lively discourse, blurring the lines of class and fostering a microcosm of Roman society. These bustling hubs wasn't just bog-standard public facilities. Patrons exchanged gossip, debated politics, and perhaps even critiqued the latest gladiatorial combats, transforming latrines into extensions of the Roman Forum. The absence of partitions cultivated a sense of community and reinforced social cohesiveness. The Romans understood human nature well. People yearned for social connection, even in mundane activities. It wasn't just about practicality, it was about the synergy between social function and physical necessity. Enhancing this strange yet communal atmosphere were the inventive tools and methods employed for hygiene. The tersorium, a communal sponge on a stick, offered a pragmatic solution to sanitation, placed in troughs of running water to remain as clean as the setup allowed. This implement, laughable to modern eyes, adhered to Rome's stringent public health policies. Despite seeming unsanitary now, the flow of water provided a basic level of cleanliness. Etiquette too played a role, with Romans emphasising the importance of cleanliness and neatness. Tunics were expected to be spotless, and post-latrine rituals using communal basins were standard. Accounts from the time suggest that even in this aspect, Romans strived to maintain dignity in the simplest of routines. Yet, the unmistakable stench was a reality that Roman society faced head-on. Despite the steady flow of water, the odours of humanity lingered. To combat this aesthetic challenge, Romans would often resort to aromatic herbs, oils, and even incense to mask the smell. But for all their efforts, the scent hung like a ghost in the air, an unpleasant reminder of humanity's shared burden. This struggle with odour mirrored Roman society's broader tenacity. They met uncomfortable truths without flinching, crafting solutions with a grim determination. people grew accustomed to daily indignities, seeing them as minor costs in the broader scheme of public life. This resilient spirit extended to economic activities, as Romans found ingenious ways to monetize waste. Under Emperor Vespasian's watchful eye, the urine collected from latrines became a revenue stream, crucial for laundering and dyeing. This natural deposit, so abundant yet overlooked, became highly prized, leading to the establishment of the controversial urine tax. Through it, public restrooms became fiscal gateways, drawing in coins for the empire's coffers. Vespasian's catchy phrase, pecunia non olet, or money doesn't stink, highlighted the pragmatic and opportunistic nature of Roman economics. Maintaining these vital community facilities required resources and dedicated personnel. Municipal bodies, aided by tax revenues, ensured that latrines remained functional. A workforce of foricari, or latrine cleaners, faced the daunting task of keeping these spaces clean and operational. Roman commitment to public welfare shone through, demonstrating the power of communal spaces in reinforcing societal norms and identity. Interestingly, each latrine was governed by unwritten rules and social etiquette. Upon entry, a customary greeting set a tone of mutual respect, while vibrant conversation further animated these communal spots. Such engagements extended beyond simple pleasantries, facilitating deeper discussions of current affairs. An established set of norms allowed for orderliness, with deference typically given to the elderly or infirm and impropriety shunned. The walls of these public spaces often spoke of their own tales, etched with graffiti, a testament to freedoms exercised where voices could be anonymous, yet bold. These markings captured essence of satire or rebellion, providing insight into the collective psyche of the populace, often discontent with power structures and hierarchies. In this sense, the latrines offered subtle stages for dissent and dialogue amid an otherwise rigid system. Rome's practices with public bathrooms spread far beyond its borders, leaving a legacy that persisted in regions it conquered. The mingling of local traditions with Roman ingenuity led to innovative practices, discernible even today. Modern public bathrooms worldwide echo this period through their structure and social function. The integration of existing elements with continuous improvement stands as a testament to Rome's lasting influence. Ultimately, Roman public latrines represented more than functional innovation. They embodied timeless lessons about society, highlighting the importance of resource management, collective identity, and adaptive ingenuity. These principles remain relevant, having left echoes that transcend time, reminding us of how ancient civilization creatively reconciled the demands of public life with its inherent challenges. In the heart of ancient Rome, amidst the cacophony of bustling streets where market vendors called out to potential buyers, and the air was thick with the scent of freshly baked bread, mingled with something more pungent, the unique trade of the urinarii unfolded. Known colloquially, and somewhat whimsically, as the bucket boys, these men were clad in simple tunics, starting their days early, with a clatter of wheelbarrows and the careful balancing of clay jars. Their mission was simple yet essential: to collect the remnants of human necessity that lingered discreetly in alleyways, marked by the unmistakable aroma of ammonia. Each alley and nook they visited held potential treasure, crucial for fullers and tanners, who relied on this odorous liquid gold. Though their labour was far from glamorous, the potential for profit kept the urinarii diligent as they navigated their well-worn routes. Much like itinerant peddlers, They had an eagle eye for identifying prime collection spots and gauging market demand. In this niche trade, every drop mattered. The success of a day's work depended on avoiding spillage and ensuring maximum collection. Their economy was an invisible yet thriving part of Roman life, an ironic testament to the value found in what others discarded. The collection process wasn't just about filling jars, it was an unspoken dance of chemistry and logistics. Fullers used the precious urine to bleach and soften textiles, while tanners employed it to treat hides. This ancient recycling system was as much about chemistry as it was about commerce. The urinarii negotiated their contracts with ingenuity and a keen understanding of their utility, a reflection of their accidental expertise. Within this framework, the urinarii operated as the linchpins of an ecosystem where their product was indispensable. Though less visible than merchants who traded in the traditional goods of fabric and leather, their role was nevertheless integral to Rome's economic tapestry. Licensed and sometimes taxed, they were subject to the whims of regulatory shifts that could make or break their livelihood. Despite their profession's ordinariness, they thrived in an empire renowned for its architectural brilliance and imperial prowess. Belonging to an informal guild shaped by necessity rather than charters, the urinarii banded together through word of mouth, family ties, and mutual trust. Their unwritten alliance ensured stability and efficiency in providing the fuller's industry with a reliable supply of raw material. Cooperation was pivotal, as all it took was a single misunderstanding to unsettle their established routines. Informal gatherings in taverns and marketplaces served as the backdrop for these men to forge agreements and resolve disputes, while the upper echelons of Roman society viewed them with a mix of disdain and reluctant admiration. Within their own communities, the urinarii were held with respect. Their trade, though humble, provided economic stability for their families, allowing them to send children to school and put food on the table. Their work, a blend of necessity and adaptation, became a legacy of self-sufficiency shared across generations, pride buoyed by the vital role they played. The work of the urinarii required infrastructure as adaptable as they were. The chaotic urban environment demanded ingenious solutions. Wheelbarrows were modified to prevent spills, and jars designed to minimise odour, allowing the urinarii to navigate the city with stealth and efficiency. Public facilities often featured strategically placed collection points, reflecting important cooperation between the industry and municipal authorities. Beyond the miasma of the trade, the urinarii relied on their senses to identify markers of quality, essential for satisfying fullers and tanners. They evolved from mere collectors to connoisseurs, learning to discern which cuts of urine best suited various industrial needs. Their ability to transform waste into worth became an archetypal narrative in the tapestry of history. The urine collection trade attracted Roman authorities keen to regulate it. Licenses were issued to ensure quality control and consistency, binding the urinarii to the urban economy in a formal relationship of mutual benefit. These agreements provided legitimacy, with specific zones for collection and standards to meet, a delicate balance of regulation and freedom that echoes in trade today. Within Rome, the urinarii seamlessly integrated into society, operating in a network that revolved around human necessity. This odd yet symbiotic relationship involved not just those who collected and processed the waste, but also officials who ensured its continuation. The urinarii became skilled negotiators, blending trade and community ties in an ever-evolving urban landscape. Their legacy, recovered through archaeological and historical exploration, invites reflection on the resourcefulness that turned waste into opportunity. The urinary's story challenges modern notions of sustainability, reminding us that innovation and adaptability have always been key to survival. In the winding streets of ancient Rome, urine was more than a mere byproduct of human life. It was a symbol of social leverage, turning an ultimate symbol of filth into a weapon in the grand theatre of societal power plays. In places like Pompeii, curses scrawled across plaster walls threatened rivals with degrading, urine-laden humiliation. More than just graffiti, these words wielded the potent sting of both physical revulsion and social shame, turning simple bodily waste into a tool capable of tarnishing reputations and altering the course of lives. When a Pompeian Graph Vitus declared that aulus is a drip, it wasn't just humour, it was a directed venom aimed at reducing the target's social standing from behind the facade of crumbling limestone. In a society where honour and reputation held sway over one's fortunes and future, urine-themed curses cast a hex as powerful as any spell, weaving public and private life into a single tapestry. This dynamic evidenced a Roman reality where evoking urine in curses meant wielding a force of shame that was deeply rooted in societal norms and pride. To modern eyes, these acts may appear farcical, yet they offer a window into how Romans keenly understood social dynamics and how even the lowest aspects of existence were drenched with significance. The sway of urine extended beyond just foul words on walls. It entered the formal arena of Roman justice. In courtrooms often more theatrical than solemn, to be smeared with urine was the ultimate indignity, used to bolster charges against an opponent or intensify the courtroom drama. Allegations, when paired with these odious acts, had the power to leave reputations tarnished and lives disrupted. These emotional battles relied heavily on the Roman linkage of filth with dishonour, where possessing the moral high ground often dictated success more than the codified laws themselves. Among this chaos, tales of dramatic vengeance arose. One such story is of a fuller's apprentice, a humble yet poignant figure within the folds of Roman social fabric. This apprentice, aggrieved by a magistrate, concocted an earthly justice that involved no more than the tools of his labour. He seized the chance to enact revenge by dragging the magistrate through vats of urine-soaked cloth, ceremoniously marking the man with an indelible, aromatic critique. It wasn't merely defiance, it was symbolic justice delivered by those considered inconsequential against their betters, echoing tensions simmering beneath the public facade. Even in death, such social dramas were immortalised in stone. And in death, tombstones articulated the closing acts of lives sullied by public scandals and urine-induced embarrassment. These epitaphs, carved meticulously, conveyed stories long after the flesh had disappeared, transforming momentary downfalls into legends. Through this lens, these grave markers weren't just marble stones, they became instruments of irony and a testament to a culture that interweaved honour and ridicule. Urine, surprisingly, also weaved through the intricate fabric of Roman political life, providing a versatile tool for intrigue and sabotage. Political adversaries harnessed its vileness to orchestrate public humiliations. The revolting spray carried a potent political sting capable of crumbling a rival's standing or solidifying one's own power. Rome's political arena, as much governed by military might and law as by influence and perception, saw urine as a strategic tool of subterfuge, weaving through political narratives with as much power as a legion's sword. Despite the mire, tales emerged of reputational redemption. Characters who re-emerged from urine-induced scandals reinvented themselves at dramatic arcs of resilience, turning public disgrace on its head to reclaim respect and admiration. Here, perception management became an art, and the individuals who mastered it spun narratives that depicted not just survival, but triumph, buoyed by collective memory and cunning. The streets echoed with graffiti, not just a jumble of careless scribbles, but an articulation of public consensus. These markings were vehicles of satire, social commentary, and personal feuds displayed on every approachable surface. Romans, through their loquacious wall scratches, mocked, lamented, and narrated stories, using urine to emphasise both folly and wisdom within their community. Romans held a nuanced view of life's dualities, embracing the tragicomic interplay of existence. They found levity among hardship, understanding that life's absurdities contained inherent truths worth examining. A society unafraid of the grotesque, they transformed common waste into narratives of love, betrayal, and triumph, revealing an understanding of human nature both profound and peculiar. Amidst these varied tales, ethical reflections inevitably sprang forth. The sordid use of urine prompts timeless questions surrounding human dignity and societal mores, nudging contemporary minds to confront the shades of morality through which justice and shame are filtered. Whether it's a chamber pot hurled in bruised anger or solemn reflections engraved for eternity, these echoes of Roman life resonate across time, inviting us to understand a world that even in its basest moments mirrored our own. In this simple act of revisiting history, we too question our modern-day choices, reminded of the curious paths from which tomorrow's legends shall come. In the bustling heart of ancient Rome, the air was often tinged with the sharp scent of urine, a byproduct curiously intertwined with power, class, and societal norms. At the centre of this pungent economy were the fullers, craftsmen who played a vital but thankless role in the city's commercial and social machinery. The fuller's task was to clean and soften fabrics, utilising the ammonia-rich urine as a key agent in this process. The laughter and jibes directed towards them didn't mask the truth. These artisans ensured that Rome's elite could parade in spotless togas, symbols of status and civility. Yet despite their undeniable utility, the fullers were burdened by a social stigma. The elite who adorn themselves in garments perfected by the fuller's labour often looked down upon these craftsmen with disdain, recoiling at the stench that accompanied them, as if the scent alone could tarnish their status. Satirical poets immortalised their disdain in verse, likening the stain removal from urine-soaked garments to the dubious ethics of politicians. Irony dripped from each pen stroke as public derision towards the fullers served to entertain and enforce social hierarchies, even as Rome's nobility privately relied upon their indispensable services. However, the urine business held more than mere scorn for those skilled enough to master it. For a number of fullers, the path through pungency led to prosperity. Even as they were mocked, their workshops flourished. Those who demonstrated exceptional craft could evolve from humble beginners to respected merchants, sometimes climbing the economic ladder to achieve the same wealth as the patricians they served. Their skillful operations and burgeoning reputations opened doors to elevated social standing, driven not by noble birth, but by olfactory perseverance and enterprise. Despite their rise in wealth, the fullers never escaped the biting humour of Roman poets, who wielded satire as social commentary. The city's verse makers found in the fuller's craft a rich metaphor for Rome's grand contradictions, folding layers of humour into poignant reflections on societal hypocrisy. In verses recited in markets and taverns, the fullers stood both as butt of the joke and emblem of social interdependence. Each line pointed not just to the utility of the fullers, but also to the shared aversion to their work. A pungent reminder of the paradox Rome lived with every day: disdain woven through dependence, sophistication coupled with scorn. Public perception in the streets mirrored this complex dance of need and revulsion. Despite being integral to Rome's hygiene and industry, fullers were marked by their association with waste. Walking through the city, they were met with a chorus of whispers, sidelong glances, and the faintest curl of upper lips. Yet, they remained steadfast in the knowledge of their worth. They operated at the critical juncture where crafts transform the mundane into the magnificent, laundering not just garments but reputations too. The maintenance of Rome's pristine image, balanced precariously on the shoulders of those society, was quickest to disdain. Underneath this social tapestry of smell and status, the fullers stood as pioneers of a hidden industry, plying a trade that wove together commerce and craftsmanship in ancient cities. Their workshops, bustling hubs of activity, echoed with the rhythmic sounds of garments being washed and wrung. Within these labour spaces, the fullers honed their skills, treated raw materials, and transmitted artisanal knowledge that fueled Rome's economic engine. Yet behind the curtain of pungency, they displayed an entrepreneurial spirit, navigating the city's swirling market dynamics with both shrewdness and artistry. In their hands, ammonia became an alchemical tool, and their craft a silent testimony to the empire's economic ingenuity. The seemingly simple exchange of waste for cleanliness symbolised a broader dynamic at play, the dichotomy of disgust and dependence. Despite public scorn, fullers enjoyed a steady stream of clientele. Behind closed doors, Rome's elite, adorned in the immaculate garments forged through the fuller's toil, acknowledged the indispensable role these craftsmen played, even if begrudgingly. This symbiotic relationship underscored the delicate dance between revulsion and reliance within Rome, an unspoken truce where each transaction carried whispers of power and practicality. As fullers accumulated wealth through their endeavours, they manoeuvred within legal frameworks that recognised their contributions, securing positions in civic life, traditionally reserved for higher status citizens. This allowed fullers to establish a lasting presence, gaining influence and crafting legacies despite the odour that shadowed their every transaction. Through municipal records and family tombstones, their stories have etched themselves into the broader narrative of Rome's development, illustrating a cultural shift where the humble mingled with the highborn under the banner of commerce. In the end, Rome's relationship with waste served as a poignant reflection of its pragmatic genius. Fullers, an unheralded vanguard of societal function, demonstrated that power could indeed flow from the humblest sources. Despite the jokes at their expense, fullers occupied a crucial niche in Rome's patchwork economy, subtly upending established notions of class and status through their unyielding commitment to the city's cleanliness. In the improbable journey from the latrines to the lobbies of power, the fullers bequeathed a legacy that testifies to the contradictions and complexities of the ancient world, a legacy echoing through time, as a reminder that in Rome money truly never stinks. In the heart of ancient Rome, Emperor Vespasian faced a financial challenge. He inherited an empire strained by Nero's excesses and the chaos of civil war. Yet with a pragmatic eye, Vespasian devised a solution that seamlessly married fiscal necessity with Rome's gritty reality. By imposing a tax on public urine, he turned a common byproduct into a valuable commodity, sparking both criticism and intrigue. In this peculiar move lay a message. Sometimes wealth emerges from the least likely places. When questioned about the source of his newfound revenue, Vespasian famously quipped, "Pecunia non olet, ham timicute." Money doesn't stink. This phrase soon wove itself into the very fabric of Roman society. With origins that were both humorous and profound, it underscored a shift in cultural attitude. Suddenly, practical gains overshadowed the origins of resources. The empire, known for its grandeur, found itself thriving on a system where ends were justified by means that perhaps didn't always align with traditional sensibilities. Across bustling markets and lively forums, Romans spoke of it, not just as a fiscal policy, but as a reflection of shifting morals. Turning refuse into riches became a metaphor for survival, adaptability, and growth, capturing the spirit of an empire that proudly turned everything, even the unsavoury, into success. The echo of Vespasian's words could be felt in the literature and satire of the time. The poets and playwrights of Rome, ever keen observers of irony, seized the opportunity to muse on the contradictions of their world. They painted a picture of an empire teetering between grandeur and grime, where practical benefit consistently trumped traditional moral scruples. In their clever, biting commentaries, they articulated the society's embrace of pragmatism, where the lowliest substance, distilled through ingenuity and necessity, could support an empire and its opulence. Through verses and stories, they captured the absurdity and wisdom in Vespasian's pragmatic message, immortalising it as a timeless truth. Meanwhile, the economic realities of Rome demanded continuous creativity and resourcefulness. With its sprawling expanse and a population both diverse and demanding, the empire needed every trick to secure its position and prosperity. Rome's roads, armies, and sumptuous feasts were all symbols of strength, but they were also reminders of the empire's insatiable need for resources. The urine tax in this light wasn't mere pragmatism, it was an emblem of Roman resilience and tenacity. As commoners and elites alike saw their wealth and status secured by such unconventional measures, the aroma, or perhaps aroma-free truth, of Vespasian's words resonated deeply. This peculiar tax highlighted the complex interplay between Rome's social classes. Even as the elite looked down on occupations involved with such unsavoury tasks, the revenue from these jobs funded their own lavish lifestyles. This duality revealed an underlying unity in reliance on each strata's labour. Profit, after all, bridged the divides. Social practices bent towards practicality, blurring the lines that once separated noble from peasant, showing that in wealth's relentless pursuit, class distinctions often gave way to shared economic goals. Politically, Vespasian's urine tax demonstrated an astute blend of acumen and cunning. By levying it on something abundant, he sidestepped the burdens carried by more conventional goods, expanding Rome's coffers with shrewd efficiency. It was a masterstroke of governance, offering a template for future leaders seeking innovative fiscal solutions tailored to an ever-changing empire. In times of fiscal despair, the phrase "money doesn't stink" became a touchstone for political realism, urging leaders to weigh public benefit against the purity of their sources. Literature, ever reflective of societal norms, embraced Vespasian's phrase with gusto. Roman satire wielded it as a device to illustrate life's ironies. Juvenal and Marshall, in their keen explorations of morality's mud, captured the fluidity of social standards through this iconic phrase. By threading it through tales and satire, they ensured its place in public consciousness, where it served as a call to acknowledge the practicality punctuating their world. From this humble phrase sprouted a deeper philosophical inquiry. What indeed is the moral standing of wealth gained from unsavoury origins? Vespasian's words ignited debates on ethics and necessity, a dialogue that has trickled down to contemporary times. Philosophers then, as now, grappled with the tension between fiscal necessity and ethical considerations, examining where society draws the line between moral integrity and pragmatic survival. Yet the legacy of pecunia non olet transcends its Roman roots. Cultures worldwide echo Rome's utilitarian solutions, reflecting a shared human endeavour to balance pristine morality against financial necessity. As societies today grapple with sustainability and resource scarcity, the phrase endures, resonating through the tempered wisdom of the ages. Whether through modern debates on corporate responsibility or the value of recycling waste, Vespasian's pragmatic legacy endures as a guiding star, lighting the way for ethical navigation amid life's murky realities. In the bustling labyrinth of ancient Rome, where the scents of baked bread and spiced meats dance through the air, another, less aromatic industry quietly underpinned the mighty empire. Urine, gathered from the nooks and crannies of public latrines and alleyways, became a key element of Rome's economic marvel. By taxing this unlikely treasure, Emperor Vespasian transformed what was once discarded as waste into a burgeoning revenue stream, channeling the empire's pragmatism through every public latrine. It was a strange alchemy, turning the sour, ammonia-rich byproduct into opportunities and opulence that underlined Rome's empire-building genius. While viewed as an oddity today, this innovation fueled not only the laundries softening Roman tunics to pristine white brilliance, but also the empire's broad ambitions. The tax on urine collected and stored in clay pots supported everything from monumental public works to the legions marching to Rome's distant frontiers, making substantial contributions to imperial finances. In the sweat-filled workshops of the fullers, urine was more than a utility, it was a catalyst. These craftsmen harnessed it to wash away impurities from cloth, yielding the brilliant white togas that symbolised Roman status and dignity. The heavy, acrid air in these places did not deter them from pursuing perfection, demonstrating the practical Roman knack for transforming necessity into luxury. Here, necessity met opportunity, revealing an economy thriving on surprising ingenuity and unusual resources. From the gleaming aqueducts snaking their way to Rome's heart, delivering fresh water to quench a populace's thirst, to the sophisticated stone roads that webbed the empire, linking villages and vast cities alike, Roman engineering was unrivaled. The denarius clinked into coffers as the empire's infrastructure rose, testimony to how shin-high ceramic pots of urine contributed to projects that would endure millennia. Behind every column and under every arch lived the echoes of economic strategies that refused waste, weaving practicality into grandeur. Amid Rome's bustling channels of commerce, social dynamics shifted in response to this peculiar trade. The bucket boys and urinari navigated a society often indifferent to their hard work, yet their efforts spoke of opportunity in a rigid class system. Occupying the lowest tiers, these workers found a path upward through rank jobs and ripe humour carved from hardship, all while harvesting potential from what others discarded as repugnant. Thus, the relationship between Rome's elites and their social inferiors was one of irony. The former unknowingly depended on the commodities furnished by the latter, albeit commodities with an odour. As both pecuniary machines and practical ingredients, urine's economic significance extended beyond the laundry vats and tanning halls. It trickled into Roman medicine and chemistry, its properties pricking curious minds to explore beyond rudimentary prevention and pest deterrence. In dimly lit spaces cluttered with ancient paraphernalia, early scientists dared to peer beneath its pungent surface. Experimentation led urine toward its place in wound care and initial chemical inquiries, laying the groundwork, however primitive, for advancements appreciated more subtly, if at times vaguely today. Rome's peculiar embrace of urine spilled beyond its city walls, weaving itself into the broader tapestry of trade networks. The empire's influence extended across lands and seas, bearing textiles and leathers that bore the mark of Roman processes. These exports carried the empire's methods and ideals far beyond its stone confines, whispering tales of economic ingenuity to cultures near and far. In its grand orchestration, the Roman economy revealed its breadth through every trade transaction, harmonizing unexpected resources into a resonant score of prosperity. Even Rome's formidable military machine could not escape the diverse applications of urine. The durable hides protecting soldiers' bodies required careful tanning with this acrid solution, as did the tents shielding soldiers from the elements during campaigns. The intricacies of warfare thus leaned on this civilian-profited resource, reflecting an empire capitalizing on necessity to maintain its worldwide imperium. Acknowledging these dynamics of Roman life, ancient satirists cast a dry eye on the empire's united embrace of such an idea. Writers quipped about politicians clad in togas washed with waste, exposing ironies in a society extracting profound value from the valueless. Through their art and humour, the inner workings of Roman life took on more than mere depiction. They critiqued a society at once conscious of its contradictions and resiliently proud of its accomplishments. As public waste fed into Rome's continual evolution, the development of infrastructure to manage these resources became essential. Urban planners designed the cityscape with foresight, adapting ancient streets and plazas to facilitate efficient waste collection that maintained the delicate balance of innovation amid chaos. The sophisticated lattice mirrored in latrine layouts echoed the considerations taken for gravity-fed aqueducts and amphitheatres, seamlessly fusing engineers' efforts within Rome's vibrant milieu. Reflecting on the complex tale of Rome's urinal economics, we delve into an era where the mundane intertwined harmoniously with the majestic. From civic spaces to battlefields, in shadowed labories to open merchant stalls, every drop of urine told a story of necessity transformed into progress. This darkly charming relic of Roman pragmatism summons modern kinship with its lessons. That fortune often lurks in practicality, and that overlooked resources can define legacies. Join us as we continue to uncover more strange, fascinating stories that history has hidden. Like, subscribe and follow for more as we explore the beguiling tales of our shared past.